Imagine standing in front of your mirror, about to go to a party. You love the dress, but something doesn't look quite right. The lines don't sit well, and the confidence just isn't there. Now, imagine a young woman, Sara Blakely, facing the exact same frustration, except instead of shrugging it off, she went straight for a pair of scissors, cut the feet off her pantyhose, and wore them under her white pants. It was uncomfortable. It was scratchy, but it worked. That small, scrappy, slightly impulsive decision didn't just solve her own problem. It planted the seed for what would one day become Spanx, a company she founded with just $5,000 in her savings. No MBA, no special connections, no experience in fashion. And yet, she grew that idea into a billion-dollar company, making Sara Blakely the youngest self-made female billionaire in the world. This is the story of how Sara Blakely built Spanx from nothing. Backstory: Sara Blakely was born in Clearwater, Florida in 1971. Her father was a trial attorney and her mother an artist. Around the dinner table, her father had a peculiar habit. He would ask his children, "What did you fail at today?" If they had nothing to say, he'd almost seem disappointed. To him, failure wasn't shameful. It was a sign that you were pushing boundaries. Little did Sara know, this mindset would become the backbone of her entrepreneurial journey. But growing up wasn't easy for her. She struggled with academics, especially standardized tests. Twice, she failed the LSAT, the law school admission test, her dream of becoming a lawyer like her father, over before it even began. She worked odd jobs to make ends meet, waitressing at night and even performing as a Disney World ride greeter by day, sweating under a giant goofy costume in the hot Florida sun. Eventually, she landed in sales, selling fax machines door to door. Imagine that. Hot Florida summers, walking office to office, getting doors slammed in her face. 7 years she did this. Rejections were constant. Some people wouldn't even let her finish her pitch before literally turning their back on her. But beneath the rejection, Sara was unknowingly building a skill set that would serve her later: resilience, persuasion, humor, and the ability to handle no without breaking down. She describes this period as a brutal training ground, and perhaps the perfect one for what she was about to do next: the struggle. One night, as Sara was preparing for a party, she stared at herself in the mirror wearing white pants. She loved them, but didn't love how they revealed every line underneath. Pantyhose had the smoothing effect she wanted, but the feet in them didn't fit with sandals or open-toe shoes. So she improvised, took a pair of scissors, cut off the feet. Uncomfortable, yes. Effective, absolutely. And in that moment, an idea was born. But remember, Sara had no background in fashion, textiles, or manufacturing. Nothing about her said future shapewear mogul. Still, she knew this solved a real problem for women. There had to be others like her who wanted clothes that fit smoother, felt seamless, and gave them confidence. She decided to pursue it, but with a little twist: not to quit her job. She would sell fax machines by day and work on Spanx at night. For 2 years, that's exactly what she did. She used $5,000 from her savings and began cold calling hosiery mills around North Carolina, the hub of US pantyhose production. Every mill rejected her. They didn't see potential in her idea. One of them even said bluntly, if it was a good idea, someone else would have done it already. Sara was crushed, but not defeated. Finally, one day, a mill owner called her back. Why? Because he explained the idea to his daughters, and they got it instantly. "Dad, that's brilliant," they told him. And just like that, Sara had her first manufacturing partner. Still, the struggles weren't over. She had to design, test, and produce her product, often doing market research by literally approaching strangers in bathrooms and asking, "Would you buy this?" Imagine the awkwardness. Imagine the self-doubt. But Sara kept going. Breakthrough. With prototypes in hand, Sara not only had to figure out how to produce Spanx, she had to figure out how to sell it. She started with department stores. But how do you convince Neiman Marcus or Saks Fifth Avenue to listen to a nobody with no fashion background? Sara did what she knew from sales. She pitched boldly. She called up the Neiman Marcus headquarters and convinced a buyer to meet her. During the pitch, she did something wild. She excused herself, went to the bathroom, and came back wearing her product under one leg of her pants, while the other leg showed the usual fit without it.
The difference was obvious. The buyer placed an order on the spot. That was Spanx's first breakthrough: distribution in high-end department stores. But Sara wasn't done. She knew getting Spanx on shelves was just step one. Getting people to notice it was the real battle. So she invented her own guerrilla marketing tactics. For example, she personally stood in Neiman Marcus stores, asking women passing by to try on Spanx in the fitting rooms. She'd catch them walking out and say, Look, I'll show you the difference right now. It was grassroots, it was scrappy, and it worked. Then came the biggest break: Oprah. Oprah Winfrey's team reached out after discovering Spanx. When Oprah tried them, she loved them. And in 2000, Oprah named Spanx her favorite product of the year. Think about that. Overnight, a brand nobody had heard of was being broadcasted to millions of Oprah viewers. Orders poured in, and Spanx couldn't keep up with demand. Sara recounts bursting into tears of joy the day it aired, knowing her life had just changed forever. That moment was the rocket fuel Spanx needed. Scaling to $100 million plus, from Oprah's endorsement to explosive word of mouth, Spanx blew up. The business model was simple yet powerful: create flattering, comfortable undergarments that women actually wanted. Unlike traditional shapewear, which was uncomfortable, hard to wear, and designed almost punitively, Spanx was inclusive, practical, and confidence-boosting. Sara reinvested profits back into the company. She kept Spanx private, avoided outside investors, and grew it entirely on her own terms. Her strategy for scaling was unique. She didn't splurge on celebrity ads or massive campaigns initially. Instead, she relied heavily on organic buzz, customer evangelism, and a carefully cultivated brand voice: cheeky, playful, and approachable. By 2012, Spanx was worth over $1 billion, and Sara Blakely had become the youngest self-made female billionaire in the world. Today, the company has expanded into leggings, activewear, and even men's products, competing with industry giants but staying nimble with its brand identity. From cutting up pantyhose in her living room to leading a $100 million plus empire, it was a story no one saw coming. Lessons for founders. So what can aspiring entrepreneurs learn from Sara Blakely's incredible journey? Failure is training, not defeat. Sara's dad taught her early on to embrace failure, and that mindset freed her from the fear that stops so many people. Start small, start scrappy. She didn't quit her job at first. She used nights and weekends, saved just $5,000, and got to work. Persistence wins. She was rejected by every hosiery mill in the US until one finally said yes. That one yes changed everything. Solve your own problem. Her product was born from a personal frustration she needed to fix. That authenticity resonated with millions. Tell your story. Don't just sell. From showing buyers the before and after to convincing Oprah, it wasn't about technical specs. It was about confidence and transformation. Sara herself puts it best: don't be intimidated by what you don't know. That can be your greatest strength and ensure you do things differently from everyone else. And perhaps that's the truest lesson here. You don't need a billion-dollar idea to start. You don't need a fancy MBA or rich investors. You just need the courage to solve a problem, start where you are, and refuse to give up after the first no. Because sometimes the greatest business empires start not in boardrooms or with venture capital, but with a pair of scissors in your bedroom. If you found Sara Blakely's story inspiring, make sure to hit the like button. Leave a comment with the biggest lesson you're taking away. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of entrepreneurs who built empires from nothing.